Welcome back. We have another interesting conversation. Let's talk about language, culture, art, and development. How is this, evolved over the years? A lot of people have questions and concerns saying that probably because of Nigeria, we're too much, the culture is too much, the languages are too much. That's why we're having a lot of issues and all of that. But no, we want to look at it in a different perspective today. We want to get from an expert who's going to be discussing this conversation, language, culture, art, and development, how it is an advantage to us than a disadvantage. We have in the studio with us Professor Uchenna Pamela Vasser. I hope I'm pronouncing it well.
You are.
Okay. She's a professor of Spanish and Afro-Hispanic Studies. So it's amazing to have you here with us in the studio this morning.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I must confess, you look fantabulous.
Oh, well,
I'm just going to put it out there.
Thank you very much. Yeah, well, that makes me feel very good.
You're welcome. So language, culture, art, and development. Tell us about it.
Okay, well, thank you very much for having me. So just wanted to say that I'm adding one extra language to the list.
That's amazing.
Because we're looking at an international language. We're looking at Spanish. And so we happen to be an outfit that have decided to add one more language to the Nigerian scene. For what reason? For several reasons, actually. Spanish is spoken by almost 500 million people worldwide. And so I think that if we wanted to be competitive in the global market, I think it makes sense for us to learn Spanish. Okay. Second objective is the fact that in the Caribbean and Latin America, you have millions of African descended people who speak Spanish. And part of our program is to make sure that Nigeria gets to know who these people are. So two main objectives. One, bring an awareness of Spanish cultures. And the second objective, bring awareness of the Spanish-speaking African diaspora.
Amazing. So can you speak a little bit of Spanish for me?
Claro que sí. Buenos días a todos ustedes.
Okay.
Oh my God. That was really good.
We want you to interpret what you
Okay,
just
I just said good morning to every one of you.
That was really
Wow,
amazing, I must
that's
confess.
amazing.
So, okay, we've had this issue, we've had this school of thought from some set of people saying that because Nigeria is a big country, has a lot of language in it, a lot of culture and all of that, is the reason why this diversified. What's your take on this and what's your perspective on this?
If handled properly, there's nothing wrong with diversity. I think it's a good thing. But if it's not handled properly, diversity can be a source of dissension, a source of problems and acrimony and things like that. So diversity is a good thing. The more the language, the more the merrier. Language means culture or has some kind of there's a link between language and culture. And culture is also very important. But once you begin to look at other languages as something less than, or if you begin to look at other cultures as something less than, then that creates a problem. But going back to Spanish, what we're actually looking at is the fact that all those African descended peoples in the Caribbean and Latin America came from what used to be known as the Bight of Biafra and the Bight of Benin. So they have a lot of Nigerian background, and you know that there's a lot of ancestry.com going on, people trying to figure out where they come from. And many of them are finding their roots in places in Nigeria. Someone actually came back and realized that, which was quite interesting, that her forefathers came from Borno State. That would not be an area one thinks about, but clearly that's what the ancestry.com says. So for those people who have made those connections, they're excited to come to a vibrant country like Nigeria. The vibrancy of Nigeria is the fact that it's got multiple cultures and multiple languages. And if they end up in Borno or in Lagos or in Enugu, it's value added. It's nothing taken away because they understand that Nigeria from the outside world is a vibrant place because of the multiplicity of languages and cultures.
So let's look at language, culture, and art. Right now people say culture is dynamic, but I'm looking at the development. As we evolve through the years, are we seeing positivity in terms of development, or people are, beginning to turn back at their culture, at their language, and the way they do things in terms of art and all of that? Or do you think the development is actually improving in that art?
Well, if I kind of understand what you're asking me, so I think that so coming to Nigeria for this project, that we're doing here, I see something quite remarkable, which is the fact that there is an embracing of the Igbo culture. And sometimes people would say to me, so what, I speak English a lot. So where do you fall within the framework? So the fact that people are recognizing the greatness of the heritage of the Igbo people, I think it's a good thing. So it's a backward look for a forward development. So you get to know who you are, embrace who you are to be able to move forward. If you don't do that, then you're kind of caught in this circle of, so what am I? And sometimes, and many times, we've asked ourselves the questions, who am I? What am I? But coming to Nigeria and seeing the fact that people are saying, Ndibo, my heritage, my language, I think that that's a very good step in the right direction.
Right now, religion is kind of playing a very great role in terms of, changing the cultural understanding in Nigeria right now. Do you think that, people, they call us Gen Z, well, we're beginning to see some of these cultural activities and practices as kind of obsolete. We don't need them anymore. We need to evolve. We need to move ahead. We need to find the development elsewhere. What is your take on that?
Well, I'm not Gen Z, so, but I think that, and culture is not static. Whatever you think of culture, it evolves. It's always evolving. I'm sure that my grandmother in the village would probably look at things differently, and she might be saying this is horrible and things like that. But nevertheless, that's the way it is. So the Gen Z generation is entitled to developing the culture within the framework, as long as you're not tossing out, because everything has roots. So what do you become? So say, for example, you decide that you're going to take the what we call the African fabric and make pants, trousers out of them, or whatever. You're recognizing the root, but you're turning it into something that belongs to you. And that's okay. But you did say something about religion, and I think that one of the things I've noticed with religion in Nigeria is the fact that we seem to not know that tradition and religion can exist side by side. You don't have to throw one away for the other. Because if you throw the tradition away, then you're saying, I know me, but I don't like me.
Okay.
And that's not a good thing. So you embrace religion because religion has good things to offer, but your tradition and the beauty of what we're doing at Slang Global is the fact that those people who were, well, you can say unfortunate in the sense that their forefathers were captured and enslaved and taken to this place where they had to create a new way of living for themselves. But in their own kind of sort of way, they've kept, and some of them may not even understand what they've kept behind. So I go to a place like Cuba and they're doing libations. And if you say to them, so why are you doing this? They'll say, pues que no sé, meaning I don't know. Es para mis antepasados. It's for my forefathers. So, but libation is not Western per se. It's something that comes from here. So they've taken it, But the point that I'm trying to make with these people is the fact that for them to feel well in their new spaces, they have to anchor themselves in an African origination. It is very important. If you do not know where you come from, how do you know where you're going?
Let's talk about your organization. Recently, you organized a lecture titled Traveling as Vital Element for Arts Development, yes?
Okay, that wasn't me. I mean, I went to, so I can't steal that.
Okay.
So that wasn't me. What we did recently was actually celebrate the what we call the Hispanic heritage.
Hispanic heritage.
But yeah, go ahead and ask your question. That wasn't mine anyway.
So what has the organization done to enhance cultural relationship between Nigeria and Spain?
Okay. So also let me say that the organization, which we kind of affectionately call Slang Global, is here to promote Spanish. But then you mentioned Spain.
Yes.
Spain is the origin of the Spanish language. That, if you remember the history of the world, that in 1992, a certain gentleman called Cristobal Colon, or in English we call him Christopher Columbus, set sail looking for new routes to India, but he kind of got lost and ended up in a place that today is known as the Americas. So because of the fact that the exploration of that part of the world came from Spain, guess what? They transported their language. So you find that 20 countries in the world speak Spanish. And so when we talk about the Spanish language, yes, we say Spain. Spain is the mother country, if you will. But there are other countries that we're interested in. Countries like Colombia, Panama, Cuba, Venezuela, Argentina, all these countries where Spanish. So what programs that we do at Slang Global is that we do like a book club. We have people reading works by writers from these areas, regions of the world. We do a poetry reading. We show films from these regions of the world, and then have people kind of watch the films. And then one of the things I'm also trying to get people to understand is that when I say the African diaspora, I'm actually, if you go to Cuba or Panama, you're going to see people like you. So it is so, we're so connected, but we're so disconnected. So the films that we watch or the books that we read are for people in Nigeria to recognize the fact that indeed this history that happened almost 400 years ago, which was the transatlantic, actually no, it started 400 years ago, it ended in the 19th century, has a lot to do with where we are, how we move forward, and so on and so forth.
You were live at the Life in My City yesterday.
I was.
Yes. So how was it? I want to hear your experience.
It was actually very, very, I mean, again, for anyone who isn't in Nigeria, I would like to say to them, think about Nigeria differently. Because many times we have negative thoughts about Nigeria, and we send those out, and that's what we perpetuate outside. Life in My City is a wonderful expression of what is good about Nigeria. So you have this organization that brings together these talented young people, and you reward them for their good work, which is the artistic expression. So Life in LIMCAF has been around for 17, 18 years, and it's doing great work. And I would love for everyone who watches this show, who gets to see this, to recognize that good things are happening in Nigeria. And anyone who's out there who has good ideas can bring it back to help the young people in this country.
Let's talk about art.
Yes.
Art, as an expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in visual form. Watching the video, I think some of our correspondents were in your organization the other time. We saw beautiful artistries, beautiful artworks, and all of that. What do you think what was the place of art in Nigeria's development right now?
That's a good question. So I think it's it's very important. And Slang Global is a place where I have put out there artwork by local artists, you know, and the reason why is because, and what I do with Slang Global is that I show those art pieces to the counterparts in Latin America and the Caribbean, for them to see that art in Nigeria has actually is beyond the spears and the daggers and the mud hearts and the masks and all that. So that art in Nigeria is very contemporary. And so when they look at the pieces we have at Slang Global, they're saying, so they're saying this is great work. This is good work.
We can see the
and I see
people dancing and all of that.
Let me say a little bit about the salsa class.
Exactly.
So yes,
so
one of the things that we did, because we surveyed young people before we started the Slang Global, and the young people said a number of things to us. They said, that they watched the telenovelas and they like the Spanish music, the new artists coming from the Spanish-speaking world, and all that stuff, and dance. And so, and then one day, a young man came to Slang Global and said, I teach salsa. And I was like, you do? And you're from Nigeria? And I said, show me. And that's our Mr. Paul right there. And so he came.
I can feel the dance.
Yeah, and he has been very, very instrumental. And it's a very popular, every Friday, starting at 4:30, we have the salsa class, and it's been a hit.
But I hear people who do salsa dance say that it's not just even about dance, it's the fact that it's like exercise. You're dancing,
absolutely.
Your body, all your part of your body's
the people who come for the class, they say things like it's an outlet. So it's been, because Nigeria, let's face it, we're having a little bit of a challenge in Nigeria presently. But they come and they say, the energy, it allows them to forget. It allows them to have fun. It allows them to network with other young people. I think it's a wonderful outlet for them. So for anyone who's watching, we're there every Friday, 4:30, and it's a fun class, and it's a fun
Is it a free class?
It's not free, but it's not expensive. And the reason why it's not free, because we do have to support the instructor. So what we get from people who participate is to pay the instructor. I think he deserves it.
Okay, so moving over, how can policies that our leaders make support art, culture, and language?
That's a good question. Yesterday, I was talking to someone at the event, the Lim Cafe event, and I said, how does one get the government to recognize that there are programs in the city, in the state, that are here to help people? We're speaking from the perspective of art and cultures, and we're doing what we can, but I don't know that the government knows that we exist. Now, if I have tried to make it so that the government finds that we exist, it's not possible. Perhaps I'm not sure what they think, but I would love for them to know that the governor and his agenda talks about the youth and development. That's what we're doing at Slang Global. We're not looking for a contract or something. We're saying, recognize us, partner with us. Let's do something good for the city of Enugu. Let's do something great for the state of Enugu, because that's what we're here. I have this talent. I came together with a group of people from El Salvador, Cuba, Mexico, los Estados Unidos, the USA, and we decided to do this thing. And I would love to have the state recognize that It's about making connections between Nigeria, Enugu, and the Caribbean and Latin America.
Okay, just before we let you go, because of time, I would want to ask you, what do you intend to achieve from your organization? What exactly? Just in 1 minute.
So, what do I intend to? Again, I use the word connection, and I actually found out that in the Igbo mythology or worldview, the word connection is actually the key. So I didn't realize that until I started reading about Igbo mythology, and so we're making connections. How do you get to know who you are? You get to know who you are by understanding where you come from. The people in the Caribbean and Latin America want to know where they come from. And guess what? When they meet you and they meet you, you tell them where they come from. That is our goal. So I want you to get to know them, because knowing them tells you who you are. They will get to know you because knowing you tells them who they are.
Wow.
So indeed, humans are connected.
Totally connected.
Amazing.
Totally connected.
Thank you very much for this. It has been an insightful conversation. I really did enjoy myself, and hopefully we'll get to have more conversations.
Definitely.
I'm looking forward to that. We're here to stay. I could say something in Spanish, but I don't know that it's going to get to my people over there.
Of course, you can share the links there.
Okay. Pues, gracias por esta entrevista. Lo que pasa es que aquí lo que yo he dicho es que haya conexión entre Nigeria y el mundo hispanohablante de la diáspora africana. Muchas gracias a usted.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias. Of course, if you teach Spanish, I would like to enroll for your classes.
I do teach Spanish.
Ooh, lovely.
Yes, I'm a teacher, and I should have said so. So our classes are hybrid in the sense that some people, because of the problem in Nigeria, you don't have money for,
traveling down and
transportation.
all of that.
So you can do it online if you have access to Zoom, or you can come in person. I prefer to see in person because I love the interaction. But you can also do it online.
Thank
So
you
we do teach
very
that.
Thank
much.
you for your time.
I mean, language, culture, art, and development. If anyone has done justice to this, it is obviously and definitely Professor Uchenna Pamela. Thank you very much again
Thank
for
you
coming.
for having me.
Yes.
Thank you so much.